Welcome to Rooted in Care, where we amplify the voices of our clients and dive into how tree care plays an integral role in our everyday lives.
Whether you're familiar with A+ Tree or new to our community, we're here to bring the service industry together to explore the deep-rooted connection between people, trees, and the environment.
I'm Chantel Davis, Chief Revenue Officer at A+ Tree.
I'm Buddy Marshall, VP of Commercial Sales at A+.
We'll dig into what matters most to you. Your input shapes how tree care enhances the beauty of our communities while protecting our natural surroundings.
Let's get to the root of thoughtful tree care for your property, your city, your home. Hi, everyone out there. I'm Buddy Marshall, and I am the Vice President of Sales for A+ Tree. We're just going to spend a few moments and let you guys know how Chantel and I met, some of our hobbies, some of the things we like to do. So I think I'll start off by saying, I really enjoy golfing. Unfortunately, I don't think golf courses really care for me. They're constantly fixing my divots. I'm also a world champion dart thrower.
I mean, that's amazing. I mean, I'll tell you, I'm not a great golfer. I'll tell everybody a little bit about myself. So Chantel Davis, I'm actually the Chief Revenue Officer here at A+ Tree. What are my fun facts? So I'm actually born and raised in beautiful LA, Burbank, California to be exact. And I decided to move all the way up to Northern California, east of Sacramento. I cannot golf and I cannot play darts, but what I am really good at is I actually used to be a youth bowling champion. And Buddy knows this because Buddy and I actually went bowling for the first time. He did not believe I was good at bowling, and I destroyed him. I'm pretty sure that he sat down and walked away because it was so bad. Right, Buddy? He's like, no.
I was destroyed. I don't even think, Chantel, I don't even believe you had on bowling shoes that
I was wearing heels, actually.
I think you were wearing street shoes for sure and still whooped me. That was quite an experience. I
think my street shoes were actually heels though, Buddy. I honestly do. I don't wear a lot of street shoes. Yeah, not sure about that.
I don't know if Skechers makes heels, Chantel.
No. Well, but funny enough, so there, I'm really excited. We'll kind of get into why we created this podcast. But Buddy and I met a couple years ago. And Buddy, can you tell me actually the first thing we did when we first met? I think that'd be interesting for the viewers to know. What did we do?
Well, outside of the board meetings, one of the first fun things we did is we actually went karaokeing. Everyone says, oh yeah, I can sing, I can do this, I can do that. I think I can sing in the shower. And Chantel's like, well, I love to karaoke. Chantel, I'm not going to say which song it was, but verbatim took out one of the most iconic rap songs known to the 2000s. And it was amazing. And I was just in awe. I stopped singing. I'm not even joking, Chantel. I just stopped once I heard you.
That is my millennial self. I've practiced that in the shower so many times that I won't do it on this podcast. I probably would embarrass myself, but I do love karaoke. That was my other fun fact. Love karaoke. I actually got a karaoke machine set up at my house, but nobody wants to do it with me. So that is what I do in my free time is bowling and karaoke, right? That's a great way to spend your time. But let's kind of dive in. I think it'd be really good for, outside of getting to know us, why did we create Rooted in Care, right? Where did that come from? And so I'd love to tell you guys a little bit about it and why I asked Buddy to do it. And so you guys all know I mentioned that I'm from LA, born and raised down there. And, over the last month, there's been some devastating fires. It's been really rough. Communities are completely gone. And as a tree care company, we try to figure out what are we going to do? How can we help? Outside of going down there and providing support and relief, how can we help make sure it doesn't happen again or have preventative measures? And so one of the things that we talked about is, do people understand defensible space and how to take care of your trees and making sure that if your property is protected, it actually could maybe prevent a fire hitting your property? And so that's something that really hit home to me. And I reached out to Buddy and I said, Buddy, wouldn't it be great if we just educated people? There's so much, right? I have beautiful trees outside my window, but I know nothing about them, right? I don't know when you're supposed to prune them. I don't know if they die. I don't really know anything. I always get nervous when they sway because I think they're going to fall on my house. But we really wanted to help. And so that is why we put it together. And Buddy, I'm not quite sure why you wanted to join in on this adventure with me, but maybe you could tell everybody a little bit about what it means to you. Why did we do this?
Oh, absolutely. So originally I came from the multifamily world where I was a regional manager in multifamily space. I also have a background in restoration and insurance. So Chantel, when you came to me, you're like, hey, these trees, and it just dawned on me, like, how can we educate folks on these trees? Because I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't know much about trees. I knew that they grew. I knew they had leaves. I knew that we needed them. They needed us. But I'll tell you what, there were some really funny things, and maybe not funny, things that surprised me about trees. I was very surprised at how complex and specialized tree care is. Our arborists actually do soil samples. Tree health is very important to our company. I think a lot of the arborists that we have, I want to say all of them, our company, we don't think about cutting the tree down initially, which for me, I see a tree that's dying. I'm like, let's just cut it down. Before I came to A+. Now, I understand that there's tree health care. We may be able to nurse this tree back to health. And that was really, really surprising to me. And of course, to get to work with you again, when you moved on, you thought enough to bring me on because we could maybe make a change in this industry.
I think that's huge. As Buddy mentioned, he comes from that restoration insurance background. Mine's a little bit of a similar path. I come from a little bit of restoration, also worked for a laundry service company. But what's really unique about it is we have the same outreach. So we're talking to the same multifamily clients and HOAs and business owners and residents. And we're really just trying to provide a service. And for me, when I got approached about tree care, I had to think about it, but then I realized we're actually making a difference. We're kind of that first point of contact whenever something happens. And my lesson that I learned when I first got here, and I'd love for Buddy to share a little bit about this, but we're used to actually in restoration being the first person they call. And if I take a step back, let me take it back one more level. I actually live with a firefighter. So I know that the firefighters are, right, they're first out. And if a tree falls on your house and a firefighter comes out, they can't do anything. And if a restoration company comes out, they can't do anything. And so all of your property is getting wet, it's damaged. Who do you need? You need a tree care company. And I never realized that. I never thought of that. And with working with Buddy, we actually partnered with some restoration companies up in Seattle. There was a huge storm up there. And I think there was dozens of trees. We had 50 plus emergency calls. And they just needed us to come out and cut our trees down and get rid of them and really help them out so they can go and protect these people's properties, right? It's their livelihood. It's everything they have. And I don't think a lot of people think about that when they think of tree care. They believe tree care is a tree's dying, go cut it down. Or, oh, the tree is in the way because we're building some new development, go cut it down. But it's not about that. It's about taking care of the tree and making sure that it's healthy. So when there are storms and other things that happen, it doesn't ruin our properties. It doesn't fall down. I know, Buddy, you mentioned about our arborists. Our arborists care about our trees because at the end of the day, we need trees, right? Trees give oxygen. Without trees, we don't breathe, right? It's a really important concept of life, right? That circle of life. But I don't know, Buddy, you're in Seattle. I mean, how was that experience for you? Because it was pretty crazy just watching and seeing the videos that we were getting.
Well, even Chantel, when I was in restoration as a regional manager for a local company here, our nationwide company here in Washington, every time there was a storm, and we have them every year like clockwork. Some years are worse, some years are not so bad, but every single year, my estimators would scramble. Hey, we have this tree on a roof. Who do I call? We never really grasped the attention that was needed on an annual basis. We didn't have a list of tree companies. We knew some tree companies, but we didn't partner with them. So I think what you and I are doing, like you mentioned earlier, is we really want to have that be a year-round partnership so that we're fresh in their minds when it's time for those restoration companies to partner with us, whether it be, an emergency or just maintenance. Because like you spoke of earlier, the defensible space, that's a very important thing. And a lot of restoration companies are being called out for that because maybe the tree's too close to the building, so they call their restoration company. They don't know. They know they can't call landscapers because the tree's too tall. But they'd call roofers. Those are the people that we're really trying to team up with and really educate so we can educate the client as well as our vendor partners.
Yeah, it's so crazy, right? Before we started this podcast, I went online and I watched a bunch of podcasts on tree companies. It was all about the arborist talking about the technicalities of the tree. And so if I was an everyday person listening to it, I had no idea what they were talking about. I mean, I work for a tree company, and sometimes I still don't know what they're talking about. I love our arborists, and that's why they're certified in what they do, but they are specialists. And so I really wanted this to be something where the everyday person can just come on and understand, how does it affect me? What do I need to do? I'm sure you saw, I sent an article the other day to you about California and defensible space, right? Everything that's happened with these fires, they're actually rezoning defensible space. And that's really scary because you are in insurance. When you rezone, that means there's going to be people that can't get insurance, or insurance premiums are going to go up. But what people don't realize is if you can meet those requirements of defensible space, you're actually compliant. And I feel like that's something that you just don't know, right? I'll have a funny example, buddy. You'll laugh because you know about me. So I moved, right, not too long ago, and I live next to a park and a golf course, right? That's kind of like the catty corner of where I live. And there's beautiful oak trees. And I got a notice from my insurance company saying, "We're sorry, we can't give you coverage." I said, "What? It's a golf course and a park, right? Like, what's going to catch fire?" And they said it was about their trees. And I went in and I worked with the park and was able to trim the trees back to the right defensible space. And I sent it over to the insurance company. I think they're shocked that I sent it back. And I put a little note and I said, "I work for a tree company and a firefighter lives here. I'm pretty sure we're now cleared." And they ended up giving us insurance. And I talked to my agent and they said, "We will do that. If you go and do the work and you get the clearance, we'll absolutely insure you." And right now, a lot of people can't, whether it's your property or your business. It's just insurance premiums are so expensive. You're actually giving up doing other things, right? Other amenity things that you'd focus on. So I don't know how it is up in Washington, but I know here in California, that is a big topic for us, making sure we have coverage.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same in Washington, and I think that's another great point as to why we wanted to start the podcast. People don't know what they don't know. If we can simplify all these terms, you don't really need to get technical and know all the terms. You just need to know how to protect yourself and who's there to help you protect yourself. So
I was giggling when you said terms. I tried not to giggle when he kept saying terms, but when I started here at A+, there's a whole bunch of terminology, right, that our arborists were using. And one of them they kept saying over and over again was, "We need to make sure we're doing THC." And I kept pausing and I said, "THC? What?
yes.
How does that have to do anything with a tree company?" I don't know, buddy, if you thought anything when you saw it. I think you said nothing, right? You just
I just kept my mouth shut. Someone's going to say what that means shortly.
Well, I didn't stay quiet. I think I asked on a call, I said, what are we doing? And they laughed and looked at me and said, "Tree healthcare, Chantel, tree healthcare." I said, "Oh, tree healthcare. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, we need to do THC, but we might need to figure out how to, reclassify these, because we're going to our clients, we're saying, 'Hey client, your tree needs some THC.' Maybe that's why we're not selling it." And I joke about it because we talk so much like we're experts, right? We have the experts talking, but we forget that everyday people just don't understand it. Right. I don't know if you have a story but with an acronym, but that one cracked me up. I was like, for the longest time, what does that mean? And I realized that it's probably one of the most important processes in maintaining your trees is your health of your trees, right? Make sure they're healthy, then you don't have to worry about everything else.
Well, I think as professionals in any industry, we have a tendency to use those acronyms and those initials for when we explain things. And I think that you and I try to do a good job at just saying what it is instead of using the initials, because you never know who's going to be on a call or on this podcast. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's something that we're going to be conscious of going forward as well, using acronyms to identify things in our industry.
No, I love that. And you and I talked about it. One of the things we want to do with this podcast and in future episodes is having people that can break it down in layman's terms for us, right? We want to hear from not only our clients, but we want to hear from our vendors, and we want to hear from public figures that are facing disasters and things that are happening with tree care every single day. And so I'm really excited about it. Buddy has an insurance background, so we're really excited to be able to focus on having the, some within that insurance space come and talk to us. And we have a lot of knowledgeable people at this company that are going to join and they're going to speak and they're going to talk about, all the acronyms and the importance of taking care of your trees. But we wanted you to hear it from real people like us, right? We are not from the tree industry, but we have a passion for it and we want to see it be successful and we want to see it help our communities. We really want to help our communities.
We're going to grow as we learn.
Grow as we learn. I know, right? And that's actually a really good point. People are asking, where did you come up with Rooted in Care? And we really wanted to make sure that we had it focused on a tree care company, but we really do care about our people and we care about every single person. And so I really felt like Rooted in Care was a nice balance to really show who we are. Because if you go to our website and you check it out, we're all about being the biggest and baddest tree company out there. You'll see some crazy videos where, these guys are climbing up 100-foot trees and there's drones and they're cutting these trees down. I don't know if you've seen any of those videos, buddy, but they're pretty crazy. I mean, these people they're intense. I can't even climb up a 10-foot tree, let alone 100. It's crazy. I think something that would be really cool for the viewers to really know and understand about us is what are some of the things that we do at A+ that people maybe not realize what we do. What do we do every day?
That's a great question. Everything with trees, Chantel. We do everything with trees. But I think even more importantly than that, we try to give back to the communities that we service as well. It's not just about business. It's not always just about who can get the most business, who can get the most, but what are we doing for our communities and how are we striving to give back and thanking those that are helping us stay in business and the ways that we're helping our communities across the West Coast.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And we partner with companies all over the U.S. So we predominantly sit in the West Coast. We're in California, Washington, Oregon, a little bit in Nevada and Utah. And that's really where we can provide service, but we're always looking at partnering and making a difference. And so what I think is really cool as you guys get to know us and get to know this podcast is we just want to hear from you all, right? You tell us what's important to you because right now we know that insurance, defensible space, right? That's all really important. And we also know you want to protect your own home as well as where people live. And that's really what we want to focus on in the next few episodes is all about that, right? We're going to talk, as I mentioned, to people from CAL FIRE on the importance of its defensible space. We're going to talk to insurance adjusters on what do we need to look for? And, we're also going to hear from our own arborists and they're going to tell us what to look for when you're walking outside in your backyard, right? Very simple tips and tricks that I think can go a long way.
I like it. I love it.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Rooted in Care.
We have a fresh lineup of new episodes ready to drop. So tune in each week to hear people just like you share their experience and insights on how tree care impacts our daily lives. Subscribe to Rooted in Care. We're on Spotify, Apple, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Tell us what you thought of this episode by leaving a review, commenting, or look us up on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok.
This podcast is a plussed up production created in collaboration with Chorus Studios. Stay rooted out there.